I'll call this Board of Education regular monthly meeting to order. We'd like to welcome all of our, especially our students that's in the crowd tonight, and all of our community members that are in the crowd. Glad that you're with us today. I'd like to ask our principal from the middle school, Mr. Heitzman, in our invocation. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, for this evening, Lord, and I ask that you in this place, Lord, empower this board of education to make decisions that you do what's for boys and girls of this community. I pray for administration, teachers, for our community, and for our leaders, Lord. All that we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Heitzman. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion, Mr. Clement.
Second.
Second, Ms. Brooks. All in order that we'd approve as a gift. Aye.
Aye.
Any announcements and recognition? I'm guessing that's probably where some of our younger crowd is from.
Yes, it is. I'm going to ask Mr. Garber and his team to come up and let him his robotics team. And he said it's a state in one state. So went out to a presentation today at the College and Career County Board of Controls, and I was thinking, man, maybe the kids that were there representation today, maybe they should have been superintendent, because I was way smarter than I am.
Mr. Garber,
Just
would
very
you use the mic just so the crowd on the I can hear you.
All right, so I have FHS CCA's Rooster City Robotics. I have two teams with us. I have 73166B and 73166. 37116C. We have teams out there. Two of these to the state playoffs. No, I'm sorry. State championship.
Yes.
Which was this Saturday at Ola High School. You need to understand when I say we went to the state championships, there were only two teams that came from single A schools, and that was these two. There were no 2As. 1 3A.
Wow.
There were 8 5As, 17 6As, 1 7A.
Wow.
6 teams from STEM magnet schools, 4 private schools that are Ivy League prep schools, and 4 teams which are private clubs like travel ball. And these kids were punching way above their heads.
All right.
But we did really well. We've had a great season. And the B team punched their ticket to Worlds, and we'll be attending Worlds in Dallas, Texas in May. These are really smart kids. All that me and Miss Bird do is keep the lab open and yell at them a little bit. We could not do this without Millix's support. They give me $12,000 a year,
Yes.
and we that's enabled us to compete at a level way above what we could before. On the B team, this is Alan Mendoza, Wyatt Wixon, Grace. I can't say her last name. Reagan. Yeah, it's Reagan. This is Maria, and this is Diadema. They are the team that passed on. On this side, these guys competed great.
Yes.
This is Miguel, Craddock, Amar, Alex, and Caitlin Lee. I'm losing a couple of kids this year, but we're going to gain more. The best part for me was when we knew that we had won our ticket to state. Maria, who did not start out on the team, they just brought her like during the season, and I think she'll be good, and she is great. She asked me could she call her mother and tell her mother, and Miss Berg was putting up our post on Facebook, so I said, yeah, sure, go ahead. I have no idea what Maria said to her mother because I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what her mother said to her, but I could hear pride and joy.
Amen.
Yes.
And I was real excited about that. It was a big day, and then she leaned over to me and said, so I'm trying to explain this to my mother. We're going up against the best teams in the United States. I said, no. We will be competing against the 800 best schools in the world.
Wow.
In fact, my niece in Singapore will be sending a team is out of Texas. And
How
it's
about
awesome
that,
having a
y'all?
picture with him. So they have done a great job, and I'm very proud of them.
Yes.
And we're
Mr.
very proud
yes,
of you too,
Mr. Garber,
Mr.
we'd like to say thank you.
Yes.
And students, on behalf of the Board of Education, we thank you and applaud you for what you do in the classroom and outside of the classroom. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Yes, it is.
And you guys are more than welcome to stay for this wonderful meeting that we're going to have. But you are free to leave if you choose to leave. We'll give y'all a moment to clear the room.
Hey, that's impressive.
Yes. While they're doing that, we'll go ahead and do our minutes, approve our minutes.
Okay.
One or two other quick announcements and recognitions.
Okay.
Just want to give y'all an update on the FHSCCA Health Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to getting the final approvals in for that. We had the bids come in. We got the bid and our lowest bid and our architect making a few design changes, and we should get that hopefully within probably a week or so, Ashley? So if we get that next week, we may be sending that out for a poll vote so we can get rolling.
Okay.
So just that, and then I just want to give a shout out to the primary school. We're starting to try to do some walkthroughs, and went to the primary this morning, did a walkthrough. The team from the board office, and was just I look at these kids here, and I remember a lot of those kids when I was principal at the primary school, and I see what the kids were doing at the primary school today and what our teachers were doing, and I think we got a great future ahead of us of
Yes.
seeing some more of this. But just a shout out to the primary and the teachers, because we had a great observation today. I just saw some really good things with teachers working really hard and kids doing some great learning and just instruction out there. So just a shout out. I felt like I wanted to do that.
Awesome.
Give them a shout out.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. All right, let's look at the approved minutes for 3 meetings there, A through C. We can do them all at one time unless there's somebody that has an objection to that. Is there a motion that we would approve the minutes from the call meeting number 1, the regular meeting in January, and then the
Make a
call meeting
motion.
number 2? Motion, Ms. Brooks.
Second.
Second, Mr. Clemens. Any discussion? All those that we approve the minutes from those 3 meetings, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we move into our favorite part of our meetings, getting to hear from the public. And just a reminder, you will have a 5-minute time period to be able to speak to the board. Mr. Johnson will keep that time, and he'll kind of raise his hand up with a finger, and that's letting you know that you are number 1 and you have 1 minute left. So try to work with us there for that policy, because we have you speaking tonight. So please help us with that time limit. Also, please don't say students' names, any faculty names, anything like that, and just be in good decorum, if you will, please. All right, we're going to ask Miss Maggie Boxey to come forward.
Yeah. Matt, can we get the microphone down for her?
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good evening, Harden, members of the board. My name is Maggie Boxey, and I'm here with my Nick. We are concerned of 2-year-olds at the elementary school and a 13-year-old at the middle. I have notes. I'm going to read them real quick. I have 2, and both I can cover it in 5 minutes. So, first of all, concerning the Department of Education, what, if anything, has come down about the possible dismantling of the DOE? I know Title I schools and comes from the federal Department of Education. What possible impact of this? What preparation is being done to prepare? That was a sort of double. And the question is, up until recently, schools were safe from ICE raids. Rumors go around they've been in Tifton. Will they be in our schools? Will y'all have forewarning? If so, are administrators letting them in? And do teachers have instructions on what to do if they come? I and my husband are both of our babies having to see their be pulled out of class. That y'all can't give it now, but a message to concerned parents in the future would be appreciated.
Yes. Mr. Harden says he can.
With the title dollars, we were real anxious about that as well. They come down with that, but we're told that the monies that we get, like Title I types of things, will not be affected. That's what we're told at this point in time. So, you know, we're banking on that. As far as the ICE, we have guidance. Mr. Mayor has sent out guidance to our principals of what would take place. We do have a plan. If they come in front offices, they will not get past the front office. There's two types of subpoenas. There's a legislative subpoena and then a court subpoena. The legislative subpoena is really, you know, we're going to try to follow the law. We are going to follow the law. But if they come into our school, the secretary will notify the principal. The principal's going to call myself or Mr. Merritt, and then we're going to call the lawyer. If they do have a court subpoena, we will make sure that it has the correct date on it, the correct school, the correct address, and all that. And if they have that, then they have the right to what's on the subpoena. But we certainly would never let a child be gone down and yanked out of class or something like that. Things will be taken care of publicly and privately, but we do have a plan in place for that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boxey. Mr. Nick, would you like to speak as well? You good? Okay.
Just a quick question. The Department of Education is only a quarter of our budget. I thought it was 60% of our budget.
She was referring to the title.
Just Title I? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All
I
right.
just want to make sure the public is aware that it's a lot more money than that.
Next up, Ms. Trotter.
My name is Cortessa Trotter. I stay on Logan Avenue. Is there anything else I need to? So, what I want to speak about this morning is I've been getting some calls from staff, a lot of calls from parents. I've even filed the OCR complaint before, probably like a year ago, on this staff member. And when he was promoted to assistant principal back in, I think, April or May of 24, I went in and I sent an email out requesting his certifications, his trainings, and his educational experience. Well, I got a response back from that saying that I could go on the Georgia certification website and look that up, which I did, and I have it right here. But the main reason I was asking for that was because I needed to see if that individual had any de-escalation trainings and things like that because of the history. I have watched this man basically lie on me, call the police, and then when the police got there, me and the front desk lady was looking around like, well, what they here for? But they was there for me because he actually called them and lied. He nitpicked at my son to the point where he got him so agitated the police had to escort him on out to school, and this individual continued to follow him out to the school, outside the school, where the police had to make him come back into the school because he was literally agitating my son to death. Okay, so with that being said, with the staff members calling, this individual, it's been stated that this individual is out at the high school. He is the assistant principal, and he is antagonizing the students, bullying them. The SPED students, he's bullying them and antagonizing them and bothering them to the point where he gets an arousal out of them, and then there go the disciplinary. The staff members are saying that the female staff members are saying that he is like disregarding anything that they have to say, wanting them to arrest students in the hallway because they're not listening to him. And these are our staff members. The parents, I filed OCR complaints on behalf of some of the parents. Some of the students, and I have a parent here that can vouch for me, is saying that he nitpicks at them all the time until he's just so agitated. And if we can't see any improvements and something done about this, if it's to the point where the staff members have to call me to come speak on it, it's a problem. And it's not just me and the things that I've witnessed with him and the things that I've had to deal with him with my son. Because I was terrified of him going to the high school because of the history that we've had with this individual. So if we can't get any results, I will rally up the parents, I will rally up some students, and if some of the staff members are brave enough to step up and come and speak and say what David went through, even some of the ones that said they're gonna quit, if they don't get moved or something like that dealing with him, then when they quit, I will make sure they come up and speak and tell what is actually going on into the school, because I've witnessed some things just by going out there to deal with one of my children. I've seen some things just by going out there to deal with one of my children. And it's out in the open, and it's not hidden or anything like that. It's out in the open, and you can see it and you be looking like, you know, it's gotta stop. But if it don't stop, I will rally enough people up here and I'll let you guys know, hear it from other people and not just me, what's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Trotter. Next, we have Ms. Williams.
I'm Daphne Williams. My address is 138 Creekside Court. And, well, she took care of one of the things I had about the principal, but that's been taken care of, and I believe she hit that home. The second thing I want to address is I sit on boards, and I don't want to have to look for my chairman, because that's who I address when we're speaking for our 5 minutes. So I would like to look straight ahead and look him straight ahead, and if you go to any other meeting, your chairman is sitting where you can look him directly. I can look at the vice chair, I can see the Harden, but I got to turn to look at my chair, so I would like to see the seating change. The next thing, you're already aware of the citizens' concern about their tax dollars. And I mean, we're hearing it every day that, you know, they want y'all to be mindful, and it's even when it comes to the hiring of the superintendent. My personal feeling is that I've seen a lot of change up under Harden, so I would suggest that he would be, but I know you have to take the process the way it's supposed to be and be fair. My thing with the board now is that we gotta get back and be mindful and see what's going on in these schools. It's a lot of things taking place, and it's not the lower level, it's the administrative part of it. So we gotta, I don't know, you know, I'm not saying all principals are bad, and I'm not saying all are good, but when we got principals that push me, I'm a bell, I'm coming. And I mean, if I'm a teenager and you embarrass me in front of my friends or embarrass me, it's gonna make me, you know, react worse than what I should. But I would like to say to the, you know, I'm thankful that you keep doing what you're doing, making people be accountable. I mean, I'm everywhere, so people tell me a lot of things, and I'm really proud of you because you're making some steps forward, because now the interest is back in the children, and that's what we need a superintendent to be, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Harmon?
Good evening. My name is Hope Harmon. P.O. Box 325, Fitzgerald, Georgia 31750. Good evening. I come before you tonight with concerns about employability and work ethic grades. I feel like they're being used to target students with IEPs. These students are being marked down for things that are explicitly outlined in their IEPs. Things like, let's say if you have on a rubric, oh, well, this person came prepared for the class. Well, that's an executive functioning challenge. Like, they're going to have those types of issues. Or you're marking them down for lack of participation, but if you're in middle school and you're reading on a 3rd or 2nd or 1st grade level, I'm probably not going to participate much either. So marking them, and it's not a behavioral issue, it's just a reflection of them being so many grades behind. So they can't participate in class discussions like they would want to because they don't fully understand or comprehend the material, yet they're being penalized for it. And I just don't feel like there's in no world that a child should have an F in employability or work ethic, especially if they have an IEP and the teachers know they have an IEP. I just feel like this is not an impartial grading system. It is very subjective. And it's being used in punitive ways as well. So I think that's something that still has to be addressed at some point, because these kids are being marked down for no good reason. Well, they're being marked down for having a disability, which is no fault of their own. So secondly, I want to highlight, I wasn't here for it last week, but I know that there were positions at the board level that were filled. But yet we have people in our lunchrooms that are still making like $8 an hour. So I just think they're essential to our school, just like our bus monitors. I mean, they don't get the same benefits as a bus driver, but they're with the kids more. I just think there needs to be something looked into about bringing them up to where they need to be, because they are essential workers. They are essential to our school, and they should have all, some more benefits while we're hiring people at the upper end of pay scales. So another issue I want to raise is, it kind of piggybacks off Ms. Trotter and Ms. Williams as well, is there is really no safe mechanism for teachers and staff to express concerns without fear of retaliation. And while we don't have a superintendent like that now, 2 superintendents ago we did, who would fire you in the middle of a school year if you said anything that he felt was against him, or if he felt like you didn't have some just blind loyalty to him. So I think it's hard to change a culture, and I think some of those things, people are still fearful of that culture, and I think there just needs to be a safe way for them to be able to express their concerns about administration, about staff, and things like that, and without them fearing retaliation. And that goes back to also having a person over HR who was an HR problem themselves and were put in that position, and people were fearful to go report things to him as well, because he used that position to retaliate against people. So I just think those things need to be, the teachers need a safe space and staff. And I also want to acknowledge the great intent behind the online tutoring service. I think that is a great idea. But I think at the same time, when we're dealing with kids who are multiple grade, we have kids in the middle school that are reading on the first level. There's no way. There's kids in high school that are reading on the first grade level. There's no way in the world they can hop online and be able to fully comprehend those things. They need one-on-one interaction. So I see the intent behind it. I think it's a great idea, but I'm just concerned about those students who have those fundamental gaps and really need that one-on-one attention. And I think my final thing is, I just really want us to go back to having those district-wide parent meetings, like when Ms. Lunsford was here. We had a great time. Ms. Lunsford really had those meetings for us up here at the board office, and she would talk about so many different topics. Right now the science of reading is a big thing. I can't tell you the science of reading, but I know it's there. So I would like to see our director of curriculum and instruction hold some parent engagement meetings, because before who wasn't willing to do it. So I would like to teach us what the science of reading is as parents, so we can help our kids at home. And then I also, I've heard things about like iReady and iExcel that you can access at home, but we live in a high community. A lot of people don't have internet, and as many of you know, with the federal funding, those that people were getting to be able to afford internet, it's gone now. So it's went back up $80, $100, $150 a month, where it was $30 and $45 for people in low areas. So those are my concerns. Thank y'all for listening to me. Thank y'all for the great job y'all do. And thank you, Mr. Harden, especially. I appreciate the openness of communication. I really do.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. We'd like to thank all of our community members for speaking tonight, and as always, you're more than welcome to come and speak to us and let us know concerns. Occasionally, you guys give us those. Appreciate that as well. We're going to move into our system reports. Is there a motion for the consent agenda item I through, or 1 through 4 there?
Consent agenda item.
Second. General funds.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, general fund report shows the fund equity balance of $6,045,237.15.
Paid bills.
Paid bills report, Fund 100, the general account. Expenditures for that $33,023,110.54.
Fund
You got 150?
Fund 150, total expenditures for the fund, $125,614.97.
It was like people enjoyed spending that penny
Yeah, they
in
did.
January.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
There was an expense that showed in our paid bills for the sign that was accidentally, and I was wondering, is the insurance company gonna reimburse us that 55,000 or?
Yes, ma'am, it's in the works.
Okay, so we just paid it up front. Okay, thank you.
Waiting on the insurance. East Bluff.
E-Spliced, when we took in on January 30th, $289,988.35, installment number 36, and that is up very good to the 24 average.
Yep.
That's
It's
awesome.
about $27,000 more than we did last month.
And when we talk about, taxes and different things like that, the penny tax, I think we all can appreciate that everybody
Yes.
is paying their share on that. All right, so we had a second, a motion. All those that would approve the consent agenda item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And now on that, I forgot the financial report for the athletic report. Is there anybody got questions on
Have
that?
any questions on
Okay,
it?
sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right, moving to transportation request. Most of the time that's for information only, but we do have one out-of-state request. And it looks like May the 9th and 10th, our middle school 8th grade is going to Universal Studios for Grad Adventure event, Orlando, Florida. That's always a fun event. I had the opportunity to get to chaperone that the 8th grade year that my boys were there, and that's a fun event for the kids to be able. They have the park after a certain point. They have the park to themselves. So you got anything else, Mr. Heitzman, that you'd like to say about that?
Just pray for us. It's a long night, but the kids love it, and the ones that earn honor roll, we pay for the trip, so it's a reward too.
Awesome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to make a motion that we approve the Orlando trip.
Motion, Ms. Brooks, second, Mr. Clements. Any discussion? All in favor for approving that out-of-state request, say aye. Any opposed? Report on curriculum and instruction. I think we've got Ben Hill Elementary tonight.
And that was a beautiful presentation. Breaking news.
Thank you for having me. I'll be sharing some information about Ben Hill Elementary, which I like to call my home. I've been here at Ben Hill County 18 years in education, 16 which have been spent at Ben Hill Elementary. So in 16 years, you see lots of changes. And right now, we are having lots of positive changes at the elementary school. Lots of growth, which I would like to attribute to the hard work of our students, our teachers, and our staff. After all, the magic happens in the classroom, and so lots of times we don't give the credit where it's due, but it's definitely due to those students and our teachers that are making that happen every day. My admin team and I put together a video because I didn't want this to be all me talking. It's not about me, it's about our teachers and our kids. And so I would like to share that with you. Marissa Morgan, I don't know if you know her, she's on my admin team. She is wonderful at technology. So she spent lots of hours working on this after work to help it get together. But please enjoy, and if you have any questions afterwards, I'll be glad to answer anything you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Luke.
This is pretty cool, man.
Yes, it is.
Good evening. This is Marissa Morgan with WFITZ News Channel 25, reporting on a top story tonight. Breaking news. Reports are confirming a hurricane has touched down at 328 Lobengier Avenue in Ben Hill County. But this is no ordinary storm. This one is packing powerful winds of academic success, student achievement, and school-wide excellence. Sources on the ground tell us that faculty, staff, and students have been riding the wave of success, setting records in academic growth, launching leadership into new heights, and rolling out a new high-energy reward system that has students more motivated than ever. We go now to exclusive on-the-ground coverage of this remarkable event. Buckle up, because the Purple Hurricanes are on the move. We now go to Ms. Benja Luke, principal of Ben Hill Elementary School. Ms. Luke, can you tell us about the amazing things happening at BHES?
Good evening and welcome to the special report from Ben Hill Elementary, where the purple hurricanes are making waves in education. I'm Ms. Luke, your principal, bringing you the latest breaking news on incredible things happening right here at Ben Hill Elementary School. Let's start with our biggest headline. Our students and teachers have been riding the wave of success. This year we have seen outstanding academic growth, and it's all thanks to the dedication and hard work of our faculty, staff, and of course our amazing students. We recently took the time to celebrate our teachers for their tireless efforts in helping students reach new heights. And we have even more reason to celebrate because our very own instructional coach, Mr. Alexander, was promoted to assistant principal. This is a true testament to the strong leadership and professional growth opportunities at our school. And speaking of growth, our students are thriving not just academically but behaviorally. With our new Canes Cash Reward system, students are making positive choices every day and getting to shop at our Hurricane Hideout. The excitement and motivation around this initiative have been incredible. From strong leadership to student engagement, there is no doubt that Ben Hill Elementary is a place of excellence. And now for an exclusive inside look at how our students and staff are making it all happen, I'm passing it on to our next reporter, Ms. Mallory Sandiford. Mallory, take it away.
I am now here with Mallory Sandiford at the Hurricane Hideout. Students have really been loving our new Canes Cash incentive program. Have you seen this impact classroom behavior and school culture?
Well, welcome to the Hurricane Hideout. This is a new initiative that we have started here, and it is really making a positive impact on our culture of our school and in the classroom. Rewarded for positive behavior. They bring up to different things. It's really making the classes and individuals that are contributing to in those classes just one family.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. You're a big part of the team, and we appreciate everything you do. All right, from Ben Hill Elementary School, STEM teacher Stephanie Price. And Ms. Price, I feel like impacted both students and teachers here at Ben Hill Elementary.
Our clear expectations and meet those because of the positive environment and the encouragement here at the school.
Well, thank you so much. Glad to have you here at Ben Hill Elementary. You're our team. I'm now here with Miss Stephanie, teacher, and Miss Ben Hill Elementary made incredible gains this year. I think has been the biggest factor in our students' success.
I think it's three things. Relationship. It is important to build a positive community in your class. And James Comer said it best: learning to encourage relationship. So that the second thing is setting high expectations for students. Growth mindset. Every student is capable of success. I would say is innovative strategy to engage students in the classroom. Continue to soar. HE is the place, next place every day, and we will continue to soar to do our best and strive for excellence every day.
Amen. So much, Miss. You're such an asset to the team, and we love you so much. Thank you for those words.
Thank you.
With Mr. Caleb Powell, math. I have a question. What's the most rewarding of seeing students take ownership of their learning?
I would say it's like working with a kid and you've been working and aha moment, and then you say, and instead of right, be like, and they understanding of on my own, and then they take that, help somebody else that may be struggling. I'm like, oh, let me help you. So that to me is a great accomplishment, is when you can see transfer.
Yeah, that transference is huge. Thank you so much for our team. Your teacher, Christina Buchanan. Let me ask you, first year teacher at Ben Hill, most exciting, rewarding part of
at Ben Hill, I would have most things connection and the community that I feel my colleagues and my administrators. It's been a great year. My kids grow so and emotionally, and I look work with these great professionals, conducive environment.
How part of our Christopher Alexander, principal of Ben Hill Elementary School, wanted to talk just about some academic. We'll start with arts first and foremost. We have a great strength. We're aware of that. At the mid-year mark last year, we had 9% of our students who were above grade level. This year, we're at 55%, so that's a 6% increase from last year, and we set some historical numbers. So we're doing even than we did last year, and that's exciting. In math, we have had now a 4-year climb. We had 73% of our students who scored a pass score on class, and most recent is 80%. So from 23 to 24, to verify, an increase, but 3 consecutive years of grade and math. We do have them both in math and ELA. Of course, ELA is the second year, and math is first year this year. So our teachers are doing all kinds of amazing things in their classrooms, and all you have to do is stop by to see some amazing things that are going on here at Ben Hill Elementary School. Thank you.
And there you have it. The evidence is clear. Ben Hill Elementary isn't just experiencing a storm of success. They are the storm. With faculty and staff leading the way, students soaring higher than ever, and in a palpable way carrying this to new heights. One thing is for certain. This is only the beginning. The Purple Hurricanes are stronger than ever, and there's no slowing them down. So, to the Board of Education and the entire watching, keep your eyes on 328 Lobengier Avenue, because this hurricane of excellence is here to stay. Reporting live from Ben Hill Elementary, I'm Marissa J. Morgan, signing off.
You know, we realize that we still have but we are making great strides in the right direction, and so our goal is to keep that momentum going, keep moving, have some out of our community reading so that they are productive out in the world when they're filling out those applications, and that, you know, they have opportunity where they want to college or a trade, get a job after school, and, you know, we know that arts in the younger, lower levels. What we didn't say is last year only 28% of our kids were on grade level as measured by K at the beginning of the last school year. And so for us to now be at 55%, is that where we want it? Absolutely not. But are we moving in the right direction? We are. And so, again, all of those kudos goes to those students and those teachers that are pouring into those kids every day. And I just appreciate your support and the support of the community. So, right.
Thank you, Ms. Luke. Wonderful. Student service report. Is that you, Dr. Sims? With all this nice reading material?
Yeah, I gave y'all a packet that's probably that thick for your enjoyment to read at home. But we just put it on the slide for me. It's kind of, I told Debbie tonight I was going to speak for a long time, and she told me she'd tell me to hush. I'm going to try to go quick, but there is a lot that is kind of, that is encompassed in, student services, but I do kind of want to backtrack just kind of where we started. Miss Kimbrell obviously was here for a lot of years, but Miss Kimbrell just did SPED. So coming in, we kind of had to look at the whole department, and that was what we were tasked with, or I was tasked with by Miss Clements at first. So we started out the summer with a complete audit of all of our student service departments. That includes MTSS, SPED, 504s, gifted, everything. And from there, we found out that we had some holes that we needed to fix. So spent much of my summer rewriting our SPED manual, which is 120 some pages long. It's in your packet there. You can read later. It's a long document. A lot of it is laws that it has to do with, but really just looking at, you know, what systematic framework do we need to put in place for our SPED teachers and students essentially to be successful. From there, once we got done with that, we started to plan what trainings we would provide to our teachers and staff as the school year started. These are the trainings that we've had now. You'll see they've been done by some different groups. All of these are SPED trainings that we have done with either our SPED attorneys through Coastal Plains RESA, myself, and then we also did contract with one consultant for autism that did a parent training as well. We've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback on this. I think these are more trainings than what they've had in the past, but SPED is just, I mean, it's kind of a beast. You never know everything, and you can always learn something more, so they're getting that quite frequently. Our current SPED numbers, we have 32 special education students at the pre-K, 90 at the primary, 68 at the elementary, 79 at Ben Hill Middle School, and 110 at the high school. If you break that down through the last 5 years, those are our SPED numbers district-wide. We are currently at the highest point that we have been with the number of special ed students since FY20. I did not look before that. I would assume that we're probably higher than we were before then as well, but that would just be an assumption. But we have quite a bit of growth there, and our numbers in the pre-K continue to rise. So they can either be identified there or they get identified through Babies Can't Wait, and then they come to us that way. But those numbers are continuing to increase, and I believe you'll probably see that 379 number continue to rise as we keep facing 21st century challenges and students that just need more support. Part of that, if you look at the research, would say that the number is increasing only because of identification. Research indicates that in the past, special ed, a student with an IEP had a negative stigma for their parents, so they would just refuse for their child to be tested. And now that stigma is going away and they're actually getting tested, which is good for the student because then they can get the supports they need. Those are all of our disabilities. The highest we have for a primary is a specific learning disability. We do have quite a bit of significant developmental delay. I'm not going to read all of them to you. You can go through and you can see the number in each category for disabilities as they have. And those are just primary. We get secondary disabilities as well, which can feed into the services that a child gets. I did want to share one of the things that we always look at every year that we turn in our numbers to the state is disproportionality. We just got this back. Was it last week, Mr. Harden? Last week we got this back. We got 100% rating on disproportionality, which means that we are not disproportionate. And of course, you know, if you are disproportionate, that means that you've got to do a bunch of extra things to make sure. So we met all of the indicators there. We were at 100%. So we were proud of the district for that. Right now, looking at discipline for our SPED students, I do want to clarify before I get into this that if we provide services when they are in ISS, that day does not count against those students in regards to the 10-day window, if you will, which would trigger an MDR and everything else. So at the pre-K and the primary, we have 0 days for both. At the elementary school, there have been 10 ISS days, 1 OSS day. The middle school's at 63 ISS and 51 OSS. Of those OSS days, it's 6 students. And the discipline that they're getting in trouble for are gang-related activity, vapes, and fighting. The high school, much of the same, 83 ISS days, 83 OSS days, And again, you're looking at disorderly conduct, gang-related behavior, fighting, and vapes. So, and they follow the handbook at that point. If a SPED student, just so you know, does get in trouble to where it's going to trigger either days to go over 10 days or 10 consecutive days, they do have a manifestation determination review to say whether or not the behavior was a result of their disability. If it is a result, they go back to class with more supports in place to help with that disability. If it's not, they get the same discipline that any other student would get for that. So for SPED, our ongoing task is to continue our child find efforts and outreach. You know, a lot of people don't know that you don't have to be a student in Ben Hill County Schools. From age 3 to 22, if you put your head in Ben Hill County Schools, regardless of whether you are a student or not, we have to serve you.
That's right.
That can be in jail, that can be homeless, I mean, that can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a constant struggle to try to find those students and identify those students. Compliance and making sure that we are legally doing what we're supposed to do is always an ongoing task, both in terms of IP goals and making sure that our IPs are up to date, and then also just all of our legal considerations in the budget. And the budget continues to get tighter.
Yeah.
Next, I do want to talk about MTSS. So MTSS is basically, I will stop the misnomer. A lot of people think MTSS is the way that you get into SPED, and that's not the case. It means that you're a regular ed student who struggles academically in some form or fashion. So there are 3 tiers to MTSS. Tier 1, which is the instruction all students get. Tier 2, which is you're not behind, but you're struggling with what we are doing right now, so you're going to get some extra support. And then Tier 3 is you're behind and you're going to get pulled out in a small group to get intensive support, like 5 or 6. But MTSS isn't just academics, it's also behavior. So we do look at write-ups and we look at behaviors that are in the classroom to see if students need Tier 2 and Tier 3 support as well. All of it's based on data. It's not just Mr. Cox saying, hey, I think that kid needs some extra help, right? Like, no, it's based on data. We involve the parents, we involve the team of teachers, and the whole team there comes together to decide what's best for those students. Your goal, regardless of whether it's academics or behavior, is to have 80% of your students at Tier 1, 15% or lower at Tier 2, and 3 to 5% at Tier 3. Tier 3 being the most intensive, Tier 1 being what everybody gets. That's kind of what the state and research says you should be at. Now you fluctuate, and those numbers change consistently throughout the year. Currently, as of the 6th of February, BHPS is at 76% at Tier 1, BHES is at 74, the middle school's at 83, the high school's at 84, system-wide we're at 79.4. Tier 2, the primary is just under 20, the elementary's at 20, the middle and high school are both at 9 for a system-wide average of 14.4%. Tier 3, the primary school's 3.7, middle school and elementary are at 8, the high school's at 6. So those numbers aren't necessarily right where we want them. They're not terrible. You smiled. I thought I had a visitor or something. Somebody trying to come punch me. You know, when we looked at those numbers at the end of last year, Tier 1 was in the 60s. Tier 3 was at like 15%. And what we found out was that we weren't necessarily doing MTSS in accordance with the framework provided by the state. We were almost over identifying students. So just in SPED the summer doing trainings, rewriting our framework, patch with our forms to make sure that we're keeping people involved. And now we've started this process, and I think most people would say that it's working. It's not exactly where we want it, moving in the right direction. And there's your numbers.
Excellent.
So we are moving in the right direction. In the fall, when we first ran our numbers, we were at 8% at Tier 3. Now we're at 6. 17 was at Tier 2. Now we're at 13. And 5 was at Tier 2. And now we're at 81. So we are moving in that direction. For behavior, I really like these numbers. And what I mean by that is, I'll just say, as the guy in charge, I feel like if I went and looked at discipline, we probably have more students in Tier 2 and more students in Tier 3 than what we have. So we can see years from turning into referrals. Like I said, this was a new process this year. And when you spend your time at home reading your MTSS framework to your wives or your husbands or to your kids, what you'll find out is it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So our MTSS coordinators, right now, they're a little bit overwhelmed, and I'll be the first to tell you their focus has been academics. And not that behavior's taken a back seat, but the focus was academics. So I would think over the next year, calendar year maybe, those numbers, you'll start to see more kids identified for Tier 2 and Tier 3 and shift, so we can start to serve them as well. Look, we want everybody at Tier 1, but that's not necessarily where everybody is, and our job is to try to catch them up. And if you get to Tier 3 and you stay there for multiple progress monitoring reports and you're still not making any progress after we've tried different interventions and different intensities and different durations, then it probably is time to get tested for special education services. But that's multiple data points, and it's trying different things to see what works for that child. That is in your packet, but I did want to put that on there. Like, those are the Tier 2 and Tier 3 procedures for academics. It's not just saying that a kid is, hey, they got to be Tier 2. No, like a teacher, first off, we look at their benchmark data from MAP, from Milestone, from Acadience, things like that. A teacher fills out a form. We get feedback from the parents. And then they have team meetings. It's a team decision. It's not a one or a two person decision. They have meetings. And then if you get put in Tier 2 after so long, you have more meetings. And the team, including the parent, decides, do they stay? Do they go back? What else do we do? It's the same thing for Tier 3. And you can look at that in your packet. I'm not going to go through there and read that, but I just wanted to highlight that it is a multi-step process that involves a team of decision makers and not just on a whim, hey, we're going to put Tyler in Tier 3 today. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work. There's our Tier 2 for behavior and our Tier 2 Tier 3 for behavior as well. Again, multiple steps throughout the way. Everything is ran by agendas, and the agendas were made by me. It's in the forms and packets that you have there as well. So that's kind of what we've done for MTSS for this school year. Looked at all of our data, continued progress monitoring. I do want to mention that we did switch to a state database. So we have Go IEP, where we house all of our IEPs, all of our meetings, all of our documents. Previous to this year, MTSS was kind of like, okay, each school did their own thing. The state started to ask schools to switch to Go MTSS. You didn't have to, you could. We went ahead and jumped on that train. So now everything is housed in that system, meaning that if you would eventually one day test into SPED, it just transfers over to Go IEP. Or if you left here and you went to another school system that uses Go MTSS, now they have access to
all digital.
All of the things that are there.
And the state will eventually require it.
And the state will eventually require it.
Oh, sure.
We do have behavior interventionists at each school. They work with students both in Tier 2 and Tier 3. A lot of that's just check and connect, checking in with them daily. The hurricane hideout that Ms. Luke and her team have implemented, for instance, at the elementary school, those are positive behavior rewards that a kid can get. Most of our kids that are in the tiers for behavior and even our IEP students that have behaviors in their as an IEP goal, there are rewards that goes with those behaviors. So, hey, you do this, you accomplish this, you get this. That can go from candy, that can go to time listening to music, it can go to extra time in the gym. I mean, there's a lot of different things we can do for rewards. If we do get to the point where the behavior doesn't get better, I do oversee our FBA process, which is a functional behavior assessment, where we contract with Baker Wright to come in and to do FBAs where they look at specific target behaviors that a child is exhibiting, and then they write a plan. Well, first they collect data, they do their observations, and then if an FBA is required in their eyes, because they're the professionals, all right, they're the BCBAs, then they write a plan, and we implement that plan. If it's a tier student, an MTSS student, it looks a little bit different than if it's an IEP student. If it's an IEP student, the FBA is developed into a BIP, and the BIP is part of their IEP, right? So we are trying to tackle that. Of course, we contract with them, so they're not here every day, so that can be a struggle at times. Sometimes we need them, and I'll have to look back. Ms. Trotter is nodding behind me, I'm sure. But sometimes we need them, and they're just not here, so you have to pre-plan for those meetings and try to get those things done. But it is a good partnership with Baker Wright. That's the company, or behavior management. The head person is Baker Wright, but they do a good job, and they come in and work with both our behavior interventionists and our IEP students. Like I said, if you're a SPED student in the FBA, if they say yes, there are problems, they get a behavior intervention plan. It is tied to specific behaviors where they have goals, and then they get rewards as part of those behaviors, and then we look at all that. Student Services also runs 504s, which is part of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. It's part of civil rights. There's not a lot of guidance that exists for 504s. What we do have, I put into a memo, and you have in your packet there that you can read at your pleasure. Right now we have 22 students with 504s at the high school, 20 at the middle school, 14 at the elementary, and 8 at the primary. To give you context, we had 69 in FY21. For some reason it skyrocketed in FY22. The only thing I can come up with is the fact that it was right after COVID and we came back to in-person. There's a lot of anxiety, 504s that are out there, but you'll see the numbers have started to even back out. For this school year, we're at 64. We did audit our 504 practices and created the guidance that is in there for you. We also, the state offered voluntarily to go 504. So they're going to require it one day, so we went ahead and jumped on it for that as well. And again, all of that stuff can be transferred to other school districts. We've had trainings on the implementation and discipline for students 504, just like we have for as well. So that's 504. In charge of services, you have a manual in your packet for your pleasure reading. But students that excel academically, I will also say that we have students that are also gifted students. So a student with an IEP can't succeed or can't excel academically because they can.
That's right.
We have 504s that are gifted students. So test into being through the identification and eligibility there, on the guidance, we create the packet, and we go from there. We do different things in the 5 does one thing, 6-8 does one thing, does another thing. And I don't want to hear and all of this to you. These are the state models. And you'll get a copy. These are our gifted. We peaked in FY24 at 236, and we're down to 195. Last year's senior class had a lot of students in it, and then we've lost some gifted. Either they transferred to another school district or a private school, but we had a lot of students in the class last year. Right We have not had many identified in K2. I know Ms. Jacobs has posted the test. Is it antiquated? Do we need to look at doing something different to be able to test them? So we are exploring all of that because we do want to be as high as possible. We've tried to improve parent communication. We had some things early in the year canceled for whatever for reasons. And then we have one. This is an area that I will readily admit we have to do better at in our parent trainings and workshops. As far as communication, you can call me and talk to me if you want, but we do a better bringing in out resources, just like we did with the training, to train our parents on how they can help their children at home. And I'm not special ed students, but also students who struggle with behavior, to our gifted students, to everybody. As a work in processes. I do hold my principal meetings to make sure we're all on the same page, or at least try to be on the same page. For a variety of things in those meetings, from everything I just went over to you, we do look at, or I should say, up until last month, we looked at attendance. Brown can do that gladly. Prior to looking at attendance, we do look at discipline as well to make sure that we are being equitable across the board. We need, what do your teachers need, how can we better support them, and then they issues. I don't want to say that's got a negative connotation, but anything they want to talk about, they add to the agenda, and it's basically just a team collaborative approach. Principals are sitting in one place and we try to figure it out together. And if we can't figure it out, then I tell them I'll get with Mr. Harden and get back. We also, student services, I am a point of contact for athletics, for our health clinics, for hospital, for school nurses, for our students with special needs. We've already talked to you this year about the mental health screen that you signed recently, so we're trying to get that signed up, so we're the point person on that. Those don't really have any day-to-day things that I have to do. It's just if they call me and then we figure it out. Challenges. As you saw, the special ed numbers are increasing, so that means our SPED teachers have an increased caseload. And that means that they hit capacity pretty quick. We are seeing an increase in behavioral and mental health needs, so that strains the system as well. Following the law, sure we're compliant is an ongoing issue, because all it takes is one person not to do what they're supposed to do, and now you're in trouble. And just general education and intervention gaps. When a kid comes to you behind, it's really, really hard. If they haven't been in a pre-K, they haven't been in a preschool, they haven't been in a daycare that does learning, and they get to the pre-K and they've had none of that, they are behind from day one. And we're trying to catch them up, but it's just hard to catch them up. So all of those are challenges that we face regularly, but we do try to do it together. So our SPED leads and our MTSS coordinators and the administrators of each school work together. The MTSS coordinators are also in charge of 504s. They meet with their team in their schools regularly. If they need me, I go out there. We meet monthly as principals. We meet monthly as MTSS people. We meet as SPED people. So we're trying to stay on the same page to make sure that things might look different in each grade band, but when a kid leaves the primary to go to the elementary to go to the middle, or the middle to go to the high, there should be a seamless transition for that child. We're not there yet. We're working to get there. We shouldn't have to change a whole bunch of things that child is getting because it's in a different setting. So we are working on that.
Just a question.
To the end.
Okay, go ahead.
That might be it, Ms. Shirley. Look,
Okay.
that is it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just a question, since you was talking about the transition from school to school to school. We don't have any self-contained special education classes, do we?
Yes, ma'am. Every
many of
school
those?
system in the United States has
So how many do we have?
Roughly speaking, we have 2 at each school.
2 self-contained?
generally speaking, we have a severe and profound classroom. These are children that cannot take care of themselves. Okay, they might need fed, they might need everything.
Yes, I
Thank
got
you.
Yeah.
And then we have a mild classroom where they're just way behind their peers.
I got you.
And they, being in a general education classroom,
Won't be conducive.
would
for
not
them.
be what's best for their learning.
What about lunch? Are they also self-contained during lunch?
No. So that, well, sometimes maybe the ones that are fed, yeah, because that
Privacy,
involves
privacy.
all that. But they go eat in the cafeteria.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did want to mention one thing that wasn't on there, because Miss Harmon did call me on Monday about the work ethic grade. So on Monday, after her and I talked on the phone, I did send out guidance to all of our schools and our special ed teachers about what we need to do for students with IEPs and or 504s and the work ethic grade to make sure that they are not getting penalized for their disabilities. So that
Great.
was sent out earlier this week. But I'd be happy, you're welcome. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
I just want to mention that, I mean, this has been a tremendous effort on your part. This has been a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job with it.
Yeah.
Well, luckily for me, Miss Wessel and Miss Singletary are hard workers as well. I know Stephen, they were up working on it was a Sunday, like a couple weekends ago, because their mean boss had told them they needed to have something done. But that was because my mean boss told me we had to have it done. No, but listen, it's been a collaborative approach from those two to the principals to the SPED leads at the schools. And just so you know, when we're talking about SPED leads, it's Miss Daniels at the primary, it's Miss Sanford at the elementary, it's Rich Mathis at the middle school, and Michelle Archer Bryant at the high school. They do a great job collaborating together. From Mr. Webb when he was here and Miss Rogers to Jaquita, like it's kind of a collaborative approach that we come together and just, you know, see what we have to do. But it hasn't been easy, and we're not where we need to be yet. I'll be the first to say that, and I'll own that. But I do feel like we've made quite a few strides this year.
Well, we certainly do appreciate it. And I do want to say that most of what you have to do is driven by IDEA, right, for our special ed students?
Yeah, no, not most. Everything.
Everything, which is a law.
Which is a law.
Which I want to bring to the point about if we are cut off from the federal Department of Education, your program closes. No.
Yeah.
We just have to pay for it with homeowners and taxpayers' money?
I don't want to get into conjecture about
Yeah.
politicians.
Yeah, I think we got to wait to let some things play out.
We're going to have to let it play out. I will say this as a former U.S. history teacher.
Okay.
And I'm not advocating for anything.
I got you.
But the Department of Education has not always existed.
That's
And
right.
before it existed, the states got those funds and
it all comes out of
they
our pocket.
divvied them up themselves.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's how it would be, nor am I saying that they need to close the Department of Ed. I want to be clear, but it's been there.
Yeah.
So these kids are going to get what they need. And I would expect if we don't get it from somewhere else that you know our community's pretty good about rallying around our
That's
students.
right. That's right.
All right.
Thank
Dr.
you so
Sims,
much.
we thank you so much for your
Thank
efforts.
you.
Sorry it was long.
That's all right.
That's
Appreciate
all
your
right.
efforts.
It's good to hear.
All right,
I like
Mr.
the
Harden.
reading.
We're moving into the superintendent's new business. You want me to just read these off and or you want to read them?
You know, you feel.
Okay. On the agenda, there's a request approval of purchase of a bus from Yancey Bus Sales and Service. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to approve the purchase of the Yancey bus.
Motion for Ms. Brooks.
Second.
Second for Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
$132,000.
But we get 80-something thousand, and then from the state.
Is that the Sunny bus? Okay.
Then we get 40. We'll have to pay 40-something, like 45 out of East.
Out of ours.
And that's coming from East Bloss.
Okay,
Just to make sure
excellent.
everybody's on that. All right. All those that would approve or say yes on the approval of the bus purchase from Yancey Bus Sales and Services, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next, we got a request approval of repairs to a bus at R&R. That's original.
Motion to approve repairs bus at R&R.
Motion to approve by Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Garrison. Any discussion about that repair? And those are boosters, right? Turbo booster?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Okay. Is that just one?
It's for one bus.
Okay.
It's a 1 year, and we've taken it to Rush and Tilton and Valdosta in the past, and they keep it a long time, so the price was pretty comparable, and we wanted to try to keep business local.
Good deal.
And they're like right up the street
Good
from
deal.
us, and if we have any issues, we can take it right.
And we got a warranty on that, I think I read,
It's
or,
a 1 year warranty.
good deal.
Yes, sir.
Good deal.
Excellent, excellent.
25,000 there, 130,000.
You ain't kidding.
Good deal.
I could have gave you another bus.
No, I'm sorry.
What I'm talking about,
Put a plug in every time.
keep being squeaky. All right, the motion is on the floor with a second. Discussion has been heard. Those that approve the repair for the diesel bus, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A request for approval, can you believe it, already the 25-26 school calendar. I just thank the Lord we're starting in August and we're graduating before Memorial Day. I don't know how attendance will be this year after Memorial Day, but principals, don't be too harsh on your kids for not showing up. Mine will probably be on that list. But
Be tested, so they better be there.
Hope they don't have finals.
that's what I'm talking about. So with that being said, go ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Johnson.
Chairman, I motion support of 25-26 district school calendar.
Mr. Johnson is a motion to approve the 25-26 school calendar.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Garrison with a second. Any discussion? All those that are for the approval of the school calendar for 25-26, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going into request the resolution to opt out of the floating homestead exemption. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to opt out of the homestead exemption.
Mr. Clements has made a motion to opt out of the floating homestead exemption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
We've had our 3 public hearings. There wasn't anyone at our public hearing today.
Yes, ma'am.
But we've had very little participation in that, even though the vote for Ben Hill County had been in the affirmative. So I just want to say that we've looked at this issue very, very closely, and I just think that we're going to have to opt out. We just simply
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
have enough information. Please be aware that every one of your board members are homeowners as well. We live in Ben Hill County. We all on the same side. We like to keep our local stuff local, and just let us have faith in us and let us make those decisions for you. And we're choosing to opt out.
All right, having a motion and a second in discussion. Those that would be in favor of approval of the resolution to opt out of the floating homestead exemption, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is request of approval of the resolution for signature card changes. There are going to be 3 of them, and these are going to be to clear an account at Colony Bank, and these are your principal accounts. And then, say again?
And school cash.
And school cash, principal accounts. There's 2 at Colony and then 1 at Community Bank. We can do them all at one. Make a motion for the signature cards.
Motion to approve those resolutions.
Mr. Garrison has the motion to approve all 3 resolutions.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clements by all 3 resolutions. Any discussion? Everybody understand what's going on? All right, all those in favor that we would approve all 3 resolutions on these accounts, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we have a request approval of a resolution for board members' qualifying fee. For those that know, bless their hearts, Mr. Palmer and Mr. Futch, with their they're going into round 3. But this is for the seat to be filled in District 6. They will have another election here in March. So this is setting that qualify fee for that race. So that's what this is about. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution for board members qualifying fee.
Ms. Brooks made a motion for the resolution for the board member qualifying. Mr. Johnson's got a second.
Yes.
Any discussion?
The only hesitation had to be that it's costing $108 to qualify to be on the school board. I remember when it was 18.
But that's where we've got.
36.
But I guess that's where we've
What
got.
percentage is that?
It's 3.
Because we
But that's
it's based off your yearly gross salary.
right. And not to say,
Prior year.
but that's where we went, where we did give ourselves raises.
It is 3% still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based off your yearly gross salary.
Okay.
Yep. All right, we've got a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All those in favor that we would approve the resolution for the board members qualifying fees, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next, we got a request approval or a contract between Ben Hill County School System and the Ben Hill County Sheriff's Office for the SRO services that we get from them. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve contract between.
Motion
Ben
to
Hill County
approve that
Schools.
contract by Mr. Johnson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clements. Any discussion?
And that's been reviewed by our board attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the amendment.
Okay.
So our contract is still in effect.
Uh-huh.
It's an amendment to the original 2022
Okay,
contract.
okay.
And essentially, we've just gone in and removed the listed number of SROs.
Mhm.
Originally, we said we would have 3.
Mhm.
So, and we've taken out the listed numbers that we will, request an SRO, the sheriff will provide us, SROs as
He's
requested. Because,
requested,
we
yes.
have the other contract.
That's right.
With, Anderson Security.
Right.
And then with that, we had to change the exhibit B to
Mhm.
remove the names, because in the
Oh,
original
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
contract, we had the names of the SROs and their
And that can
their
change.
salaries. But what Sheriff Cone did was he just went through and listed. If you see, he says like if you use like a captain, this will be the salary.
Right.
Okay, okay.
More of a position.
What their estimated salary is. And then also he changed it from payment on a quarterly basis to payment on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so we have a motion for that and a second. We've had discussion. All those that would approve the contract between the Ben Hill County School System and the Ben Hill County Sheriff's Office for the SRO jobs, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then lastly, for the contract side of it, an approval for a contract between the Ben Hill County School System and Baldley Auctioneer LLC. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the contract.
Motion to approve the contract by Mr. Clements.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garrison. Discussion. Mr. Hart, just for everybody, will you give it kind of what we're talking about there?
We're still trying to get rid of the stuff left in the old high school. So we have an auction company that's gonna come in and try to sell as much of that stuff for us as we can. We've had the sales before, but this is a professional company that will come in and advertise and do different things and you know, everything that we can get rid of and get some money for will help us with other things. So basically, it's to get to the point what we don't say we're gonna be throwing away or giving away. So if we can set it, that's a good thing.
If we can get rid of it.
So we're not required to put it on the Georgia surplus? We're not? Okay. Okay.
What we have listed in there is that, the auction is he's gonna do it in April.
Right.
So hopefully, by the time you come back from your March meeting, you can approve your dates
Right.
and times, because it's gonna do
Right.
it online.
And it's just gonna be a way for us to get
Yeah.
empty out, y'all, because if not, somebody's gonna pay tonnage to the
I know he's
landfill.
gonna have to advertise it in the newspaper.
It's when he gets all the photos together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this will be a professional guy that's doing this, so it'll be top notch.
Okay.
Be listed on the website and you can get pictures and stuff. So we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All those that would approve the contract between Ben Hill County School System and Baldley Auctioneer LLC, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then I will open the floor for our last new business, will be the discussion and the approval of the superintendent search. I handed you a packet. I know Ms. Brooks has handed us a packet about what it would look like if the GSBA were to do it or a third party. And then I've handed you a packet of what it would look like if we did it internally, if the Board of Education did it. So the floor is open.
Mr. Chairman, in the packet that I gave out to the board before, I did, when I was at GSBA in December, talk with Dr. Sam King and those experts about doing a superintendent search. And there was just some real good reasons for us to consider not doing it ourselves, not just because of the time that is allotted, but conducting a search is a very complex and undertaking. I don't know if any of us, as far as the board is concerned, we certainly have to hire and we'll do the interviews of anybody that is applying for the superintendent of our schools. We also have the opportunity to let them know what kind of superintendent we're looking for and what educational things that they are required to have to come into our school. The public expects the board to hire the best qualified person. The average board will meet 10 or 15 times to be able to do this, and I'm not sure, we don't even have a quorum tonight, but I'm not sure that we
do have a quorum.
I mean, we have a quorum, but we don't have all our board members tonight. So it's just gonna be very difficult for us to get together with a committee that many times unless you're gonna pull a actual committee from the community, which will be extremely difficult for them to know the expertise that a superintendent needs to have. Costly, yes, it's gonna cost us a little money. Boards don't have easy access to good and accurate information for qualification or the record of the applicant. That would all be researched by Georgia School Board Association. When it comes to conducting a search, we can't really find out about the reputation of the applicant. And again, what GSBA has been able to do for us in the past is bring us a folder of people who are likely candidates, and then the board makes the decision about who they want to interview. And everybody is allowed to apply for that position. And then the board still makes the most critical decision, and that is who we're gonna select and who we're gonna interview. That comes out for us to be 2 or 3 meetings, 15 to 20 meetings. So I just bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say that I feel like this board's capable of doing this on our own. I don't feel it's fair to the community that we pay the money for GSBA to do part of this search for us. I think everybody on this board is educated. They have the ability to do it, so I feel like we should do it. And so I'll make a motion that we do the search internally.
There's a motion on the floor that we would do the superintendent search internally. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
There's a second on the motion that we would open the superintendent search up and do it internally. Any more discussion? All those in favor that we would do the superintendent search internally, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The record show that the vote in the affirmative, 1 negative. Said, so we clarified the search for the superintendent will be open, a position open, and with that, there, if you've looked at the packet, I've got on there. Decide this as a board search. Y'all good with the on February the 20th, and it will be the opening posted on Teach Georgia, the Herald Leader, our district website, and then Miss Debbie, she all the research, she'll put it out there the same place as Georgia School would do as well, so it'll be the same site.
Okay.
February the 28th date of posting the job. We'll keep it for 2 weeks, so we'll close March 14th. The window application, and looked at it some to have all the requirements. If I send them a letter of intent, well, that strike, right? Okay. So, but everybody's good with dates of so Miss Debbie can get that rolling for.
Miss Debbie is gonna do all that paperwork
Yes,
and all
ma'am.
that. I'll put that on our board secretary.
Look at that. She's going to help me as the board chair, involved in that as well.
Okay.
And just for personal preference or personal privilege, I have the flexibility to be able to help in that process. The board do this. Yes.
Those are the dates.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I was going to move to that. All right. So having that discussion, is there a motion on the floor that we would set the dates for the search for the superintendent of the county, 28th, 2025, and we'll the date March 14th, 2025.
I make a motion to approve the superintendent's timeline.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clements. All those in favor of the timeline, February 20th, superintendent search, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
One more thing, Chairman Cox.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we clarify, Mr. motion that the board,
We did that in that first. We did that first when we said internally.
No. I know you're saying
Mm-hmm.
internally could be interpreted to mean that
Okay.
internally within the school system. So we want to
Yeah,
say
we
that
preface.
the board is going to perform and
Okay.
not utilize a third party.
Gotcha.
I'll clarify my motion that the board do the superintendent.
So you don't have to vote again.
Right, just clarifying,
Yeah,
just clarifying the motion. Okay? Ms. Sawyer? And not a third party. Okay? Upcoming events, we got our meeting, March the 11th. And then, except, Mr. Clement, us will be attending a shared training over in, Thursday. So don't forget that. They'll buy breakfast for us at 8:30, or you can show up and it'll start at 9, but we'll get our 6 of training, over there, for that. And then we have our whole board workshop training over at Cook County Board of Education, on March the 27th. That'll be coming up as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
can I have a moment of privilege?
Ma'am.
I do want to thank the Transportation Department and our director for assisting us and making sure that we were able to participate in the Martin Luther King Parade. Me that car and all of that. I appreciate it. I know it was a little extra work for you, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You can go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and go back. The super has requested that we go into executive session for personnel purposes. Is there a motion? Garrison makes a motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor that we'd go into executive session for personnel purposes, say, raise your right hand. Let it be known that those present is unanimous. Take a 5-minute recess and we'll come back.